Good moaning, coffee moaners. Who fancies a good old moan today and a bit of a giggle? That's what we promise you. Moaning and giggling. And Mark has discovered the way to put
We did it on Saturday, didn't we, guys?
your messages up on the screen, which is great.
Yeah, why don't we pop up Julie? My niece has started back at school today. I bet they'll enjoy telling everyone about their Disneyland Paris and Menorca holidays.
Oh, that was it. Do you remember when you get back to school?
Well, I didn't have that.
Oh my God! And you'd tell her your holidays, and I would always be so brown because
and
you'd have somewhere like Jordan
you'd have always
or
been
somewhere.
somewhere so exciting. Bloody hell. I just came back saying, "Oh yeah, I played cricket with my nan," which at the time was absolutely fantastic. Of course, don't get me wrong.
I think kids don't like to go away as much as we think they do.
I don't think kids like going away at all.
I think it's really, well, apart from if you're going to Disneyland Paris, of course, but I think hanging out through the summer, getting bored,
you want to
play. Part
of
being a child.
You want to play.
Yeah.
Thanks, Reese. Did you find the root cause of the prognosis? It wasn't, well, the COVID test came through as negative. As we know, that doesn't necessarily tell us anything. But I will be doing another one today as well. But yeah, it felt asthma, it felt incredibly achy and headachy. But thank you so much for all your messages. Michelle very kindly popped up a thing. And just to clarify, me hitting my face into a muffin was actually one of the links in the No Name Sunday show. So I didn't record that yesterday in my parlous state. But yeah, so thank you.
So it's nice to be back. I've been on tour.
I know.
Like a rock star.
I know.
I can't tell you how lovely it was. Mark, so many subs came up.
No, it's so nice.
People going like
quite
this.
A few, Adorny, actually, quite a few contacted me. It was really nice.
Who was it? The blonde woman. Was that Liverpool? I can't remember because we did Birmingham, Cardiff and Liverpool. And you were going, I'm a sub.
Oh.
I'm a sub. So I pulled her forward and Ashley came and Dorney came.
Oh.
I said, can you make way, please, for my friends coming through here,
so
Ashley? So, yeah. And then Ashley, it was so weird. That person that had the selfie with you. I went, are you with her?
Nah. Is who with who?
There was this woman, and I thought Ashley, who's, those who don't know, Ashley is one of our regular subscribers here. But she just latched onto him so she could get a photo, but they didn't know each other, and I thought they'd come together.
Oh, I see. Oh, in the photo, I thought you meant a photo of her with him.
Yeah. She was stood next to him like this, having the photo with me, with the selfie, but you were with his phone. Oh, I thought with his phone.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
So have you still got the photo of her, Ashley? It was funny. But it was so lovely. And do shout. I'm in Manchester next Friday, so give me a shout out.
Say, this Friday.
Yeah, this Friday. Say sub. And I will try as hard as I can.
I've just realised I absolutely dread to think what on earth you talk about if you talk about anything to do with us. Because, of course, it's not recorded.
Oh, no, but you're still mindful. You know, there'd be a journalist. There'll be a journalist in all of it. I wouldn't say...
So don't say to anyone I've got 3 mental health conditions or anything like that.
I mean, the thing is, we sit here and talk about everything with you guys anyway, don't we? It was much more... It's much more... The live show is much more sort of... much looser. The conversations go on for longer. We're not doing any heavy topics. It's a huge amount of fun.
Oh, good.
It looked brilliant.
Great.
And thank you for everyone that came.
And Dorney and all those lovely subs and followers who were contacting and saying, "Oh my God, it was so lovely to hear how much fun you'd had." So you know, it was really nice, Dorney. For anyone thinking of going, let's put you up there. Do it.
But I'm only doing one more, and that's Manchester.
Carly, you know, just has a joke for us. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. It's quite good, isn't it? Well done, you. Morning, Tim Reed. Hope you're well. Morning, Faith. Let's pop you up there. Morning, Mark, Nadia, Dina, Nandy Di, Betty, Teddy, Toffee, Chichi, and everyone. Adrian has posted online new cast of Married at First Sight.
Yay!
UK. Oh
brilliant.
My God, more madness to come. Fantastic.
And hello to all you people listening on podcast. We are here on the Sawalha-Adderleys YouTube channel if you ever want to join us on video, and we can put your messages out. And we've got some pictures and things to look at today.
Well, we've got some video, we've got some kind of assets, I like to think. We've got stuff that we can play in from the gallery. The first thing is, obviously, anyone who's not from this country, we're in a curious situation where about 1,000 of our schools are about to fall down. They're not, but they're crumbling. Schools are made of aero bars, or it's literally called aero bar concrete. That's one of the phrases they use for it. This is the story that increasing numbers of schools have been discovered to have this have been made of this concrete that had a sort of short lifespan, quite literally a shelf life, not even that, of about 30 to 50 years, I think. But anyway, so there's a huge crisis developing. And of course, the big, there's a bit of a shit stick being passed around here, isn't there? Everyone's kind of going, it's not me, it was me, it was me. Who was it? Who knew what, when, why? This has been known about from the moment they used it, because they knew how long it would last. But it's become a real potential problem since the 90s, since the early noughties.
Has anyone here's child's school been shut?
Has anyone's school been shut? Yeah, absolutely.
Because, And how did they tell you? What did they say?
And have they said
what
anything?
What does the email say?
Yeah.
Due to the possibility that your bloody school could fall down.
But the story has kind of morphed if we haven't got our own sort of personal skin in the game with the kind of concrete aero bar story, which is kind of school stories a bit old. The education secretary was caught, Gillian Keegan, was caught swearing, saying, she questioned why is no one saying you've done a fucking good job, was her exact quote.
She'll probably become an absolute bloody hero. She'll probably get the Tories backy.
I have to say, I had a little bit of respect for her when she actually quite honestly said, though of course it was totally demoralising when she said it for everyone who got their A-level results, when she said, give it 10 years, no one will give a fuck what you got in your A-levels and GCSEs. Because the thing is...
Which is what we totally believe.
It's true.
But the timing of that was absolutely appalling.
Absolutely.
When all those kids had just done everything that they were told, because that's what governments do. They tell us how to educate our children, and this ridiculous system that we have where kids are tested and tested and tested. And just after they've done all that graft to say, well, it's all pointless anyway.
No, exactly. The timing is awful. I think I think how it should have been presented is a bit more of a philosophical chat in about 6 months' time.
So now it feels this important,
exactly.
and it is because, but honestly, don't over worry, because in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
But, when you think of Trump and you think, I've just been listening to a podcast series about the insurrection. And, it just went into the detail of how Trump got to where he did. And, this kind of gaffe played such a huge part because people felt that there was a relatability there, that, oh my God, this guy's just like us.
Yeah.
And this will do her good. I'm telling you now.
Well, the problem with it is that it's absolutely everyone's responsibility in government, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, when you're in government and you take on a portfolio...
Sorry, I meant the swearing.
When you take on a portfolio, it's your responsibility. Yeah, no, the swearing. But I mean, the swearing is very specific in terms of what it's related to.
Yeah.
She's talking about, why is no one saying well done to us? Well, I can't see anything that we can say well done to them about in terms of education at all.
Yes, give us the list.
Give us the list of what we should... Yeah.
And then we'll write you a report card.
Well, instead, what we'll do is we'll send Ofsted round and they can give you an assessment and tell you whether you want to...
And then they can say that you're totally fucking useless or whatever it was. Yeah. What was it? Failed. What was the whole thing?
The tragedy of the teacher who killed herself.
Yeah, head teacher. Yeah.
Welcome Linda Marshall as a new member. Welcome.
Welcome, Linda. We will sing you a welcome song at the end.
Drop the name down. That would
Linda
be great.
Marshall.
Linda Marshall. But I think what Nadia says is a really important thing. If you can just park to one side for a minute the fact that she's under her stewardship, potentially 5% of all schools could collapse. Okay, let's just put that to the side. She can't individually or personally be held responsible for this, can she? I mean, or can she? And in swearing like this, I think you're right. There are certain situations where it makes me think, oh, they're kind of like a normal human.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when I saw this, I thought
because people are desperate for some kind of connection with politicians because they feel so removed from our lives and our needs and our voice. We feel completely unheard. That it's very easy to get whipped up in, this is, this person, this person understands us, is a bit like us, because...
Well, and I have
to
say,
be a big mistake. I mean, you have to drill into a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, Nadia's always saying I swear far too much. I like a good swear. I think a good swear is fine.
Fucking joking. I love swearing.
Yeah, but also why you always tell me to stop?
Because you go a bit too far.
You just swore then. No, I didn't.
I did it.
Okay. Well, okay. I thought it might be a fun moment to look at.
Morning, Jill Taylor. Quiet.
Yeah, hi, Jill Taylor.
Nice to see you.
A hot mic. Let's explain what a hot mic is. A hot mic is when a microphone is live and it can still be heard.
And in show business, we say you're never alone with a microphone because we've all been caught out.
I've heard all sorts of activities in a studio toilet with a couple of presenters.
But also, I can't believe how many presenters that have been around for years will still just go like that and talk. They can hear everything when you do that, can't they? What would you have to do to a microphone there?
Unplug it from the pack.
And anything else they can
only
hear?
if you unplug it from the pack. Or mute it. I mean, if you mute it, I always remember Ross, one of my sound recorders, he was always incredibly diligent, and he would always be, as soon as he saw conversation moving towards anything not untoward, but kind of, he would shout, which is the way to do it on set. Mike's dead.
Yes.
And people, the first time we did it, I went, who's Mike? I mean, Mike's dead.
What is that one from Reese? About Obama.
Reese,
Obama. What's that one? I don't think I
like when Obama got caught calling Kanye a jackass, 2009 post Taylor Swift, which led him and Obama to have a contentious relationship thereon.
Oh, God, I don't remember that. Yeah, any that you can think of, guys, that you I love it when newsreaders get caught out. There's been some great ones from like Australia,
especially with James Hunt. Do you remember how James Hunt would happen a lot? Yeah. That presenter, what's her name? She gaffes quite a bit. Victoria Derbyshire.
Yeah.
I think
I sometimes wonder if that's a.
I think she kind of knows where she's going. But shall we hear five? Some news channel has pulled together 5 hot mic moments. Of course, Gordon Brown's infamous one is in there. Now, the thing about these moments is, again, like you say, for me, it makes me think, they're ordinary people. They're ordinary people. And they're not always necessarily wrong. So let's see if we can hear it. I don't know what the audio on this is like. It wasn't great when
Get serious and get his buddies. Stop doing this. Okay.
I agree with what you said. I mean, Teresa's a bloody difficult woman, but you and I work for Margaret Thatcher.
Take care.
What did she say?
Oh, everything. She's just a sort of bigoted woman. Said she used to be Labour. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm very glad you heard of it anyway. Bloody people. I can't bear that.
she purred down the line.
He said what they need to do is get serious.
Who was that about?
That was about
the Queen.
The Queen.
She
yes.
purred down the line.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when you think back to these, how enormous they were, and of course everybody forgets. Everybody forgets.
Couldn't really make out what was George W. Bush talking about at the beginning there. I couldn't really. I mean, the thing is, the terrible thing is that news can be so fucking dull that when you've got someone like George W. Bush, I've got a figure in there. When you press the button, he says ridiculous shit that he actually said. You sort of get nostalgic for it. I sort of think, why don't we have Theresa May dancing badly?
Yeah.
Why don't we have these idiots making tits? So for me, I think I actually think politicians should swear more.
It's just because we want to believe that they're humans.
Look, Joni,
and that they're fallible.
Makes them a bit more human, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, so that's the kind of offshoot, all the fronts of the papers. Should she be, here's the question, should she be fired for swearing? Should she be fired for swearing?
It was so funny. So funny on the tour because Kay was anchoring it. I have to say, absolutely brilliantly on the tour, and because everybody's so used to seeing Kay, just saw to hear her swear.
Oh right, nice.
The audience just howled with laughs. Everybody's swearing.
Yeah, it's Blue Mike.
Yeah, it was funny because on one of the shows there were some older people down the front. You could see them very, very sort of.
Oh.
I thought, oh shit, oh no, oh god.
Well, look, we've got to allow for these comments though. DF Brown, I don't understand why people swear though.
It's funny, isn't it? It's a really good point. I mean, we come from an industry where it is so normal. It is just so normal. Other industries, it would be such a shock, wouldn't it?
Not just industries, but it's also families. I mean, I grew up in a family. I mean, my grandparents never swore.
I wasn't allowed. We weren't allowed to swear. My mum swears like a bloody trooper now.
Yeah,
She used to do the old soap in the mouth business.
But maybe they were not swearing because, can you add Gaynor Rose to that?
Yeah,
but
we
maybe
will
they
be
weren't
singing
swearing
you a
out
song,
of
Gaynor
a
Rose,
good
at the end.
parenting responsibility. Maybe they were doing that. Anyway.
Well, I do think it's right to try to start off not swearing for sure.
I don't think. I think the person I love, Lisa, our friend Lisa, does.
She's the
she
best
is the
swearer
greatest
ever.
swearer ever. And whenever she says, "Oh no, I better not swear," I heard myself on your vlog and I swore, and we're like, "No."
It's really weird, isn't it? Some people, when they swear, it's so horrible. I hate it. And other people, it just makes me laugh. It just works. I have to say, people always say to me they like my swearing.
Right.
I think maybe it's because it's not like angry swearing. It's like,
yeah, the girls
it's
always say they love
self-deprecating.
Yeah, the girls hate it when you tell me to stop swearing. They're like, we love him swearing. It's weird. I still never swear in front of my parents, and I'm 52,
that's
says
lovely.
Debbie O'Terra. That's weird. Jan, I swear when I'm angry. Nice and simple.
What I'm worried about is
Danny.
in 25 years on Loose Women, I've never sworn, because on my first day at
will
work,
now.
they told me, if you swear on daytime television, you never work again in daytime television. And that's changed now. Lots of people have accidentally sworn. But my God, to be with all my mates, my Loose Women mates, swearing on stage, we've got to be really careful.
Yeah, you don't slip into
We don't slip into
I suppose there's
on
no
telly.
change. It's just business as usual for Linda, though, eh?
Yeah.
Doesn't she swear a lot?
Yeah, she does. But I'm on Thursday, and I'm actually a bit nervous about it. It's like, what if I swear by accident on telly?
Be careful.
I've found it a bit more difficult since doing Coffee Moaning, actually, because we're so much more loose here than we are on Loose Women.
Okay, let's talk about phone addiction. Phone addiction will lead some people to divorce, and I think this is a good story. Phone addiction will lead to soaring divorce rates, experts warn. We've heard of the phrase fubbing. We all know about fubbing. We've done fubbing. But look what Nadia's got.
I bought this book. I bought 2 of them because I want us all as a family to read it and then discuss. And I gave one to our eldest, and she went, yeah. And I could see she thought, oh, well, I'm never going to do that. But she doesn't realise I'm going to be checking.
Checking more?
Checking. I'm going to be saying, what did you think of chapter 4?
Okay, well, what do you think of chapter 3?
I haven't started yet. Because every single person in this house is a phone addict, right? And what will happen is one person will say something about the other person's phone use, and the other person will say, well, what about your phone use? And we all do that.
It's a classic one, like addiction. In the pub. You always say, oh, yeah, but such and such drinks more than me.
That is addiction.
What do you think, guys?
And
Zoe Agnew, I need this book ASAP.
Yeah. I mean, and it's very readable. It's not a big, heavy intellectual book.
How do you know that?
Because I've read some bits of it. It's not a big, heavy intellectual book. It's into really short chapters.
Do you know what I found, though? You can read it on your phone. You can read it on your phone. It's much quicker. You can just scroll through it. It's really nice. You can go to the bits that really matter.
So I think, what do I think about this? I think
phone addiction will lead to divorce.
Since time began, people have neglected their relationships in different ways. You get to a certain amount of time in a relationship, and what was it for years? People say, oh, he's down the pub again. People would have their way of escaping the relationship, sport, whatever. And I now, as an older person, and understanding actually that relationships, when they span over many years, need all sorts of...
Hang on. It's my effing AirPod upstairs. I can't find it.
No, but if you're Bluetooth...
No, it's the Bluetooth on here. Just wait 1 second. Sorry, guys, you'll have lost us for a minute. Just 1 second. Sorry. How do I turn this off? Oh, it's the most annoying part of these bloody AirPods is losing them. Can you hear us? Can you hear us okay? Is that all right? Okay. Is that all right? Just hang on. Let's just check before we plow on. Sorry if you're listening on podcast. Please stand by, James Campton or something. Someone just say if you can hear us. Can you hear us? Yep. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Okay, cool.
Yeah, since time began, people have found their way to escape. Do you remember we were doing our How to Stay Married podcast a few months ago, and you said, when you're in a relation, when you live on your own, you can have space to be
miserable.
Fucked off, miserable, but when you're in a relationship, you are actually, in a way, in a constant state of having to be something.
Totally agree.
If you are if you're a nice person, aren't you? Because you're constantly taking the other person into account. So since time began, people have had their ways of, and I think it's wrong to say escape a relationship, but to have their space outside of a relationship, whether that's somebody goes to the pub a lot, sport, whatever.
I'm popping comments up as Nadia's talking.
Before the phone really came in, there were so many people saying they were losing their partners to the computer. They would come in, have dinner, go to their room, and they'd be on the computer all night. And I agree. I think the problem with it is because it is so accessible, none of us ever, do we, have our phone much further away than that. It is having another person in the relationship. It is. So I think that if your relationship is a bit shaky anyway, and if there's somebody in the relationship feeling very neglected in all sorts of ways, whether it be, intimacy, whether it be just general interest in the other, somebody going into their phone as well is going to cause huge problems.
I think there's a more complicated...
But I think we have to be careful because it just seeps in, doesn't it?
100%. I mean, look, the thing is, like Nadia said, everyone who feels at certain points, like last night is a good example. Everyone was wanting to watch Gogglebox. I didn't particularly fancy it, but I was at a bit of a loose end. I didn't feel too great. So I came in and sat down and I was watching it. And then I turned around at one point and I was the only one watching Gogglebox. Everyone was on their phone.
I was doing the shop at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the weird thing is that the phone is so it has so many functions and purposes that it allows you to multitask in many different ways. So it isn't actually necessarily
there's a whole
about... So hang on, let me
thing
finish.
on that in this book.
So you shopping on the phone in the room, you're actually with people, but you're not with people because you're on your phone. But it means you weren't spending half an hour down the supermarket. There's this idea where we forget we actually spent time doing that other stuff too. Maybe listening to music, maybe watching films. In your case, very much so, listening to music as a classic. I mean, I don't listen to music anymore as much as I'd like to, unless I'm running. You listen to podcasts a lot. And I think there is that adjustment that needs to be made in a living space where it's really, I just find it genuinely odd when I'm out and I see people walking towards me and you can't see they've got your headphones on and they're either talking so it's really odd when you're talking to someone in a room and they don't hear you and you don't know they're on their earphones. That's the part of it. We've learned to adjust to that. And it's like more often than not, Nadia is off. She's listening to something else. But the other thing I think about phones that's really, I do think really does erode relationships. And this is interesting. Think about this. There's very little now in a partnership. And this is something that I've really felt where, one or the other of you will have your interests or your passions or your thoughts about things. And you'll bring it to the relationship. We go, oh, well, there's this thing on at the moment. I thought we might go and see it. And what I've noticed more and more now is with everyone, not just us, but with kids, with other members of the family, is, oh, I've heard of that, or I've seen that. You've got nothing you can bring to someone that they haven't already found out about. So you might not have known what was on at this art gallery or that art gallery, and I'd have come to you, and it would have been a part. And this, in terms of relationships, I think this is important. You were like, oh, I really like the way Mark always sort of seems to know this, or I'd always really like the way in which Nadia knows this restaurant. But actually, it democratizes everyone, but it means that people who've got their own little thing they bring to a relationship is no longer special because everyone can just go to their phone and just search it. And so,
I don't know if I agree with that.
No, but I think there is an aspect of that.
I don't think that's the nub of what's going on.
No, that's not the nub of it.
It's a tiny little thread of it.
No, but I think we underestimate the extent to which people get a lot more kind of stimulation from their phone than they do their partners intellectually, emotionally.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So if you're not interacting and you're not having conversations and you're not doing nice things together, and then you've got a phone, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we have a very intense relationship as well. If anything, we need to go into our phone or do something else because we are so intense. We talk a lot. We have lots of conversations. We do this every day. We do podcasts where we look directly at each other and talk for a full 45 minutes about all sorts of things, our feelings and everything. But imagine if we weren't doing that and we still were on our phone as much as we were. That would be a huge problem.
Yeah, it would. You can read Kerry's there. My hobby's phone was nearly the breakup for us. It was like the third person in the relationship, along with the fourth person who was having an affair with. Oh my God.
Well, one of the things in this book, stop phobbing Fubbing is short for phone snubbing. Having your phone on the table during a meal, that's fubbing. Checking your phone in the middle of a conversation, fubbing. Texting while you're at a party, fubbing. These types of behaviours have become so common that we often don't even notice that we're engaging in them, but we are. And that, I think, is one of the first things everybody could do. Is just, in this book, it talks about the mindfulness, just noticing why you reach for your phone, what's happening. And one of the things that I really want us to do is that area there, we don't have the phones. So what that will mean is
none of us will go in that area.
No, we might.
We won't watch anything. But I think that's what will happen.
No, but what it will probably mean is, say, for instance, I've got to do the shop. I have to do a lot of food shopping, guys. Yeah. I'll tell you. Yeah. Is that I will do the food shop here first. So I've got to just do the food shop, and then like you might go, oh, I'm just going out to the supermarket.
Well, hang on a minute,
when I come back, shall we watch something? That would have been how we would have done it.
But I can promise you now that social fabric of actually all managing to get around the table will fall apart if I'm in there saying, wait until I've edited.
No, but what about if we said, let's watch Gogglebox at 9?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Meet at 9 and watch Gogglebox. Yeah. I think the thing is, with all addiction, we always, all of us, find excuses for why we can't do it.
But we always find someone else that's worse than us.
Well, no, I mean, I don't, because I think we're all just as bad as each other. But I think that we have to go where there has to be a will. You have to really want something to change, and then you have to do it incrementally. So if we just said, when we're sitting there, let's not have our phones, put them over here.
Amber grinned. Hi, Amber. Happy birthday again for the weekend. I hope you're okay. Can I just say, this is really important, Amber, what you say. We miss so many moments with our heads in our phones. And I think this is a really lovely detail that I think you raise, Amber. Love to you and your lovely Richard. Nadia said this once when you get out the car. Here's a moment, for example. Hang on, most men have this idea that when they play sport, well, I used to anyway. I used to think whoever I was in a relationship, no one was ever interested in sport, and I was desperate for them to see me play sport because I wanted to impress them. Yeah, so it's that thing of I want them to see me in my prowess and all that kind of stuff. There are very few moments in life where you are doing something and you turn around and you catch your other half just looking at you.
I always say this to Mark. I say, sometimes now what I do is I make myself put my phone down. So say Mark pops out to get something. I'll say, put the phone down. Because you know how you'd wait for somebody in the car and you'd watch them come back.
Yeah.
You'd watch them come back.
Yeah.
I remember once somebody saying to me, oh my God, you look like an old Greek widow as you walked back. I was like,
well, that was nice. Who said that?
I can't remember. One of my boyfriends said it to me once.
Blimey. Nice.
I was a bit down, but I remember thinking, well, don't fucking look at me then. That was
all right. Well, clearly
end.
You'd rather he was. You'd much rather.
But you see, I get totally what you mean, Amber. It is those moments that we do not see,
and we need those moments.
We need those moments.
Those moments which are utterly undefinable. You don't even, a bit like that part of your body, just that you don't have a name. The little intersections where you see, where you fidget, where you're. I mean, it happened to me the other day on the tube the other day, and I was sat there and you couldn't get any emails coming in, couldn't get any messages coming in. None of the socials were kind of needing anything done. And I literally sat there and I looked around. Now, the weird thing is the vast majority of people on the tube had either downloaded something or were on their phones, but to look around, and I thought, and also one of the other weird things about driving a lot is you never get to just see places because you're always driving through places. And there was one occasion where I wasn't on my phone and I did see you walking up to the car, sort of in the rear view or something like that. I thought, fucking hell, it just doesn't happen. And those are the bits that make you think about your partner, don't they?
Yeah,
aren't they the moments where you look at your partner and go, oh, do I like him? Maybe I don't like him.
When we talk about mindfulness, everybody thinks, oh, you've just got to sit and chew a raisin for an hour. Mindfulness is something that we used to do naturally as human beings. All of that has been taken away because of the phone. The moments when you just sit and wait for somebody. The moments you're a bit bored and you look out of the window, all those are a break from you. And that's why it talks in this book about why so many of our memories are becoming so bad, because we don't have those moments where we let things sit in. There's an actual...
And the other thing is for older people as well. I really thought for my mum, it wasn't that we were all there was a moment where everyone was just doing something. We'd had a meal. and she doesn't have a smartphone. So she was like, bless her, she's like, for fuck's sake, guys, get off your
Yeah.
phones. I haven't got. And I remember, sometimes when remembering our older people.
My mum drives me mad with her phone.
Well, to be honest with you,
And
Dina, if
because
you're
they
here,
have-
you're the most critical of it.
Your
And yet your phone's
notifications go off all the time. Like I'm having it gets broken. Ding, ding, it's so loud. I eventually say to Tina, "Is that your phone?" Because she doesn't move at all.
What's the weird thing that she doesn't hear the sound?
But
Dina,
she doesn't
Dina, do you hear the
move.
sound?
It's like, why have you got the sound on
It's
so
very
loud
funny.
if you're not going to react to
It's
it?
a bit like, I remember with KK was always quite critical. People always being on their phone, and she would never come off her iPad.
No, she knows she's bad on her phone.
On her iPad. Gay with an iPad is something else.
Yeah.
Ellie Denning, I went to visit my parents the other morning, and both were sat around the breakfast table on their phones. Told them both to put them down. Oh. Okay, well, just wrapping up. Let's just finally. Woody Allen has called cancel culture silly. And he was both greeted rapturously by audiences, but also scuffles broke out from, understandably, people. This is about Woody Allen, the film director. And now, at the Venice Film Festival, it's curious. Venice have not showered themselves in glory here at all. They had Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, who there's that long historic case where he had underage sex with someone, and it was statutory rape, which is still a live charge, I believe. And Luc Besson.
In America.
In America. Yeah, and Luc Besson, the French director, was also recently accused. Nothing has yet been proven. And I think one has to always pause at that point. And yet, at the same time, one feels that there's enough in the real world evidence to suggest there's enough to be uncomfortable about. I think that's how I position myself. Lots of people with Woody Allen go, well, he hasn't been. I'm sorry, I can't square up to even marrying your stepdaughter. I just can't.
For me,
sorry,
that's
enough.
That's the proof. You brought her up as a child, and now you're married to her.
That's it. So, but anyway, so it's a bit, so Woody Allen has called cancel culture silly. And I put on our Insta story, maybe silly if it's cancelled you potentially for something that's not inappropriate, but not silly for others.
Well, we were talking about this morning, weren't we? And I was saying, I was having this conversation a few weeks ago with somebody about, I think we spoke about it on here actually.
That was a crowd protesting at Woody Allen being at the Venice Film Festival. Anti-rape culture protesters.
Yeah. And I was thinking, and somebody, this person was talking to, said, if you think about it, we've always had cancel culture. It's called backlash. It was always the backlash, and it would always just dissipate. And I find now more and more, I challenge our daughters when they come downstairs. We might be talking about some. Oh, they're cancelled. Yeah, everybody cancelled them. And I go, well, what does that actually mean? Because they're still selling records. And I saw them on the front of a magazine the other day. I think we just got to take the power back with it. It's not anything. I mean, there are some people, of course, whose lives have been completely ruined by cancel culture, but also that was the case with backlash years ago. It's bad publicity that is whipped up, that is whipped up into hate. Sometimes the person has actually done something appalling and there should be backlash, and sometimes they hadn't, and we've always had it. It's just that I think people give so much more credence to a Twitter storm than actually we should, because often, I think there's only something like 5% of the population on Twitter in this country, for instance. Like often we'll say that.
There's only 8 million users of Threads.
In Teleworld, and we'll say, let's not respond too much to what they're saying on Twitter, because actually it's a tiny proportion of people. And I think we've just got to start laughing at cancel culture. A group of, obviously when it's something that I really believe in, like something, like Roman Polanski being
charged,
being
cancelled.
No, celebrated in this way.
Sorry.
I think that's absolutely appalling, and people should be able to voice it, and that's and that would be called cancel culture now, but actually it's not.
I think, isn't it? Doesn't
it's a protest.
Doesn't it go? I mean, what I think he's trying to kick up there, cancel culture, is silly. There's a kind of arrogance in it. I mean, isn't it all about how proportionate any response is to any shocking behaviour? So, for example, I think very few of us, though not all of us, unfortunately, would say that they would like to see someone like Andrew Tate cancelled. You know, there are lots of people one can identify,
but it's not a
one
real
disagrees
thing.
with.
It's not a real thing. You don't actually cancel people.
Yeah,
you actually don't.
Hanny, people don't actually. That's a good point. They don't get cancelled. They come back. I don't even think they necessarily go away in the first place.
It's backlash. I like, even if you think, and I don't know any of the big names on YouTube, but sometimes, you know, before we were on YouTube and you would hear the girl saying, oh, so-and-so's been cancelled. They did this terrible thing. They said this terrible thing. And then I might say, and if you, oh, that person you were talking about, what happened? Oh, they did a really good apology video and they're back. It was like, oh, so they weren't cancelled then. And I realised I've got sort of like seduced by this idea that cancel culture is real. I don't think it is.
No,
realer than any other time when people would
just
get
the ebb and flow of headlines.
Exactly.
It's the ebb and flow, the highs and lows, the comebacks, the comeback kids, and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
but what he's talking about is he doesn't want anyone to question him or not watch his movies. You know, off the back of his behaviour. That's what he's talking about.
Exactly, absolutely, I totally agree. So there we go.
We've cancelled
We've
culture.
cancelled. I think you're right. I think maybe the heat is coming out. I get frustrated when people say you can't say that, you'll be cancelled. Because it's become a very easy way of other people passive aggressively shutting you up. And I will fight and push against anyone who says, oh, maybe you shouldn't. It's like, well, hang on a minute, let's interrogate why we shouldn't say that, because otherwise a mainstream narrative develops. I'm just going to use a small example of this. The Weeknd being cancelled for portraying misogyny, which he doesn't agree with, is lunacy. Not that he has been cancelled, he couldn't be cancelled, but you know, the desire in some quarters to have that sort of. And
I think it's really important with our children to challenge them when they say, oh God, you'd be cancelled, or oh my God, so-and-so is cancelled. Really drill into it, because you know what they're doing? That's fear. That's the fear they have. And what that does is that's going to stop decent, in-depth conversation and opinions happening, because actually young people do believe you can be cancelled. You can't. I really don't think you can be cancelled. And like, even if you were to make a terrible, say we said something totally insulting and upsetting without intention.
Yeah. Which you do to me on a daily basis. I just roll with it.
I think if you genuinely go, good God, do you know what? I had never thought of it like that. And you make a sincere apology. I think 9 times out of 10, actually, the world is a bit more forgiving than our young people would have us think.
I don't want to get all wanky, but I'm going to. Natasha Tilmos, it's more we don't like you for now culture than we don't like you for now culture than
exactly.
I don't want to get wanky, but I think surely isn't one of the biggest things in life about making mistakes and learning from mistakes. And if you know you get cancelled, if you're so afraid of making a mistake, I tell you what will end up happening is you'll make much bigger mistakes further down the way, because you haven't had the opportunity to learn when not to make mistakes.
Listen,
you know,
making mistakes is learning. That's how we learn. Making a mistake, failure. You know, when you think about how you bring up kids, you know, they've got to fail. Otherwise, how are they going to learn? Exactly. And that never ends as human beings.
Exactly. So we're now going to destroy the names of 2 new members in the family guest area. Loads of cards are going out today. And we're going to say welcome to Linda Marshall. Look, we've got this great facility. StreamYard rocks because it allows us to pull you all up here. Look.
And the thing is, for those of you that are new, this is supposed to be a shit song. Think Phoebe and Friends.
Right, yeah, but worse. Okay, so Linda Marshall, let's welcome her.
Linda Marshall, Linda Marshall.
Linda
Welcome to the family guest area.
And Gaynor Rose.
Gaynor Rose, Gaynor Rose. Hello, Gaynor Rose.
I was in the garden yesterday and I gained a Gaynor Rose.
Gaynor Rose, Gaynor Rose. Welcome.
Welcome. everyone, one and all. Guys, have a
So
lovely...
there's 4 there.
No, those are just comments.
Oh, okay.
Everyone have a fantastic day. A green-fingered hell has landed. A home time has landed. There was a fabulous curly cooks over the weekend with the women using the kitchen like their dressing room. It was bizarre. But yeah, lots on the channel to go